The bulldozer's roar shattered the morning calm, tearing through my rain garden like a beast devouring its prey. My neighbors stood on their pristine lawns, clapping as if they'd won some grand VY Tory. The HOA board, led by the iron-fisted Laura Hensley, watched with smug satisfaction, their arms crossed, their smiles sharp. They had no idea that beneath their feet, the hill was already starting to slip. Yep, that's me, standing in the wreckage of my dream, wondering how it all went so wrong. When I bought my little house on Maplewood Drive, I was chasing a quiet life, a patch of earth to call my own. The lot, perched on a steep slope overlooking a valley, was a postcard come to life, wildflowers swaying in the breeze, an ancient maple tree tilting toward the sunset, and a VYEW that could steal your breath. But the realtor, with his slick grin, glossed over one tiny detail. This hill was a disaster waiting to happen. Heavy rains, he said, while VYing a hand, were no big deal. The builders had handled the drainage. I wasn't buying it. Years of hiking and gardening had taught me to respect the land, not trust some developer's promises. So I got to work. No ugly concrete walls for May, wanted something alive, something that worked with the earth. I spent months designing a rain garden, picking native plants with roots that gripped the soil like iron, flowers that drew butterflies, and gentle berms to tame the water's rush down the hill. By spring, it was a masterpiece. Bees danced in the lavender. Monarchs flitted through the milkweed. After a big storm, I stood on my porch, watching water weave through the garden, soaking into the ground instead of car VYing trenches. It was better than I dreamed. For a while, the Maplewood HOA didn't care. They were obsessed with their consistent aesthetic. Think identical mailboxes and lawns so green they looked plastic. My rain garden, tucked to the side of my house, seemed to fly under their radar. I kept the edges neat, mowed the front yard, and figured I was safe. Big mistake. It started small. My neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, began muttering about messy yards at the mailbox. The HOA newsletter gushed about uniformity for property values, showcasing cookie-cutter flower beds. Then came the first letter, taped to my door like a scarlet letter. Dear resident, it read, concerns have been raised about landscaping inconsistencies. Inconsistencies? That word was doing some heavy lifting. They reminded me of the community's appearance standards. I thought they just didn't get it. So I spent a weekend planting little signs in the garden pollinator habitat, erosion control zone, and even made a website with a QR code explaining why rain gardens matter. Problem solved, right? Nope. 2 weeks later, a second letter arrived, colder this time. Second notice, landscaping violations. They cited codes demanding uniform grass coverage and approved plants. I scoured the HOA manual. Nothing banned rain gardens, it just assumed everyone would plant grass and trim their shrubs into perfect spheres. Then Laura Hensley, the HOA president, paid me a VY sit. I was knee-deep in the garden, replanting after a deer trampled my coneflowers, when I heard her heels clicking on the pavement. Mid-50s, blonde hair, shellacked into place, she stood like a general inspecting a battlefield. Nice weather, isn't it? She said, her smile all teeth. Then came a lecture. Wild yards tanked property values, scared kids, attracted vermin. I explained that my garden wasn't wild, it prevented erosion, saved the slope, protected their homes. Her face didn't budge. Rules are rules, she snapped and strutted off. After that, the violations snowballed. My decorative rocks, unauthorized structures, my native grasses, excessive height. They even called my plants invasive, despite being state native. Laura started inventing rules that weren't in the handbook. I wrote letters, filed appeals, begged the board to listen. Nothing. Whispers spread that Laura had a personal vendetta. My garden made her do-la $1.2 million mansion look less exclusive. Then, in late September, they struck. While I was buried in work, the HOA held a secret emergency meeting, skipping the required 72-hour notice. Only Laura's loyalists showed up. They voted to remediate my yard. No warning, no appeal. I found out when I got home from work, coffee still in hand, and saw my yard obliterated. Muddy tracks scarred the earth. The maple tree's roots bled where blades had hacked them. My flowers lay in heaps, my sign smashed. A guy in a vest shrugged and pointed to a notice on my door. A DULA 5,000 invoice for landscaping restoration. I stood there, diesel fumes choking the air, and felt rage settle deep in my chest. This wasn't a mistake. It was war. The first rains came in October, soft at first, then relentless. Without my garden, the water had nowhere to go. It raced down the hill, carving rivers through the dirt. Cracks spiderwebbed across sidewalks. Fences tilted like drunken sailors. Mud swallowed lawns. I walked the neighborhood, camera in hand, documenting every sag, every split. The HOA's first bulletin after the rains? Pure denial. Homeowners, maintain your gutters. It chirped with a photo of a downspout. No mention of the bulldozed garden that had kept the hill stable. I called in a favor from an old friend, Tom Carver, a soil engineer. He trudged through the mud, probing the ground, and gave it to me straight. This hill's a ticking bomb. Your garden was its anchor. Now, it's dumb luck holding it together. He sketched how water was pooling between soil layers, ready to slide. I sent his report, my photos, and a warning to the HOA, hand-delivering copies and posting online. At the next meeting, Laura laughed it off. Some residents are being alarmist, she cooed. When I tried to speak, she cut me off. Public comments are closed. The hill didn't care about her rules. The rains kept coming, and one night, a crack like a gunshot woke me. I grabbed a flashlight and ran toward Laura's mansion. Half the neighborhood was already there, soaked and gaping. Her retaining wall had split, spewing mud and rocks into the yard below. A neighbor's fence crumbled. Laura screamed into her phone as water lapped at her patio. I locked eyes with a board member and nodded. This was their doing. Insurance adjusters delivered the next blow. Because the HOA intentionally removed my erosion control, claims were denied. Homeowners faced massive repair bills. Fury erupted. For sale signs sprouted, but buyers fled. Laura blamed poor construction, but no one believed her. I compiled everything: photos, letters, Tom's report, and met with Sarah Klein, an attorney who ate HOAs for breakfast. This is the dumbest thing I've seen, she said. Let's bury them. We sued for property destruction, negligence, and more, naming Laura personally. Discovery uncovered gold. Email showed Laura ignored 2 landscape architects' warnings about Remo VYing my garden. One email was brutal. I don't care what some tree hugger says. That weed patch goes. Worse, the bulldozing was done by Laura's brother, operating as Green Valley LLC, pocketing DULA 20,000 for shoddy work. In court, the judge's icy stare silenced the HOA's stammering lawyer. The gallery packed with angry homeowners exploded. The media pounced. Headlines screamed landslide scandal. Flyers demanded Laura's resignation. At an emergency meeting, she crumbled, storming out. She quit the next day, her house unsold, its lawn choked with weeds. The verdict hit like a thunderclap. The HOA owed DULA $1.2 million. Their insurance refused to pay, so they slapped in DULA $18,000 assessment on every homeowner. Meetings became battlegrounds. The neighborhood fractured, but the hill kept sliding. With the settlement, I hired Tom's firm to build a rain garden that dwarfed the old 1-2 tiers, deep-rooted plants, a stone sign declaring, "Stabilizing your homes since 2025, courtesy of Emma Riley." The new HOA, led by a humbled Rachel Carter, eased rules, encouraging native plants. Slowly, the neighborhood healed, planting trees to anchor the slope. Scars remained: cracked foundations, broken friendships, but the hill grew green again. Laura vanished, her mansion a ghost, sold at a loss to a flipper. One evening, I sat on my porch, coffee in hand, watching Rachel's crew plant oaks across the street. The breeze stirred my garden, alive with bees and birds. It had taken lawsuits and landslides, but they'd learned you can't fight the land. You work with it, or you lose. Now, tell me, what would you have done in my shoes? Was I right to fight, or should I have bowed to the HOA's rules? Should Laura face more consequences, or was her ruin enough? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you felt the rage, and subscribe for more stories of battles worth fighting. Let's hear you roar.